Hello, brothers and sisters. A few days ago, I came under an intense attack. To be honest, I was overwhelmed by fear and unease. And it wasn't something that I could shake quickly. It was with me for hours, and I was scared. I felt like something evil was going to kick in the door at any moment and slaughter my family and I. Some of you already know about this because I sent out some urgent prayer requests, and I really want to thank those of you who prayed and responded. It really helped. This attack was unusual. One, the intensity was really there. But mostly because of the fear that was involved. I mean, I get attacked often. As a TI, my life seems to be one of such dramatic attacks that I could write a book. Few would believe it, but it would still be the truth nonetheless. Fear, though, is not something I subscribe to. And I haven't had even a moment of fear since the baptism of fire. Through prayer, and no doubt because of the cover of some of you, the Father took the fear away. I repented of having it. We're not to be afraid. I repented. And His perfect love cast it out. But the quandary was, why did He allow it? What was it about? I got some messages in the last couple of days, clarifying some of the things or why it had happened. But I was still left seeking clarity of what He wanted me to learn from what happened. I mean, I saw images, felt the images more like of fear and of just overwhelming panic and prison and danger for my family. And it seemed like these things were imminent and very real. I don't know that that's what the case is. I don't know that these things are imminent, but that's when the attack happened. That's exactly what it felt like. And I'm sure I didn't feel like it was only for me, but I was afraid for my situation and my family. I mean, my question was, why, God? I know I speak of hearing God. I speak of hearing God and the absolute importance of it. He leads me to do this. I don't want it to seem, though, like I'm saying that I always hear clearly. That would be a lie. It wouldn't be true. I do hear Him, sometimes quickly and clearly. Sometimes I don't even realize it was Him I heard until hours later. Often it's in a rush that I hear Him. After waiting days to hear on something I ask, I will be led to grab a paper and pen and feverishly scribble pages worth of message. That always shocks me. I don't ever plan to do a video. Don't ever really want to. I only do them after I hear to do them. Usually when I'm hearing God, I hear in part of a message. I often end up hearing or seeing a video by someone else here on YouTube afterwards that will fill in some of the other parts of what I was hearing. There have been a few messages that have rattled me so much that I literally just couldn't take them. Messages that He just mercifully stopped trying to give me because I wasn't prepared, I guess. I feel weak for this. But, I mean, they shook me up. There was one message that He showed me a few months back about attacks that had happened, to me throughout my entire life. And, I mean, even in the womb, I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I saw. And the implications of these attacks and the things that were being done against me and spells that were being cast on me were so ugly and so frightening that I just didn't really want to listen anymore. I couldn't get it. There was also a message about, like, for example, Solomon, and it had the temple and the DNA and Masons, and it just seemed to go over my head like it was too foreign that I couldn't process it all. Either way, as I advocate seeking his voice, well, that's because he advocates it to me. I advocate that to you also, but I don't wish to come off like I hear perfectly. I don't, but I'm going to continue to try to hear everything. Either way, I've been getting things from him, truths, but I was awaiting clarity on this attack that had happened recently. Last night I was playing a video game, just trying to relax. When finished, I instantly felt the need to connect to God immediately, to just go straight to my knees. I didn't hear that playing the video game was sin, but I didn't hear that it was good either. I didn't know what to make of this, to be honest with you, so I kept praying. I heard that I need to do all things that please Him, that I need to pour out on others, that time is short and not to be wasted. Horrible things are coming, is what I heard, and it will be like a tidal wave. Most will be unprepared and will succumb to panic. I've heard this several times, that the panic will just be so overwhelming they'll be searching for anything to ground him, and unfortunately it won't be his voice. I heard that I was allowed a dose of that panic to show me that I was unprepared, frankly. Just as everyone else is, I think. Or not everyone, most people. He showed me to ground myself in Him. That as long as I focus on Him, He would guide me through what's coming. And that was the only way that I was going to survive what's coming. Like I said, He said focus on Him in all things, all the time. Seemingly random events even hold messages if we listen. We need to grab on to these and to forsake the flesh in life as much as we can. I'm not talking about a vanilla life. I hear people say that when they're admonished not to quit sinning. It's not a bland existence that I'm advocating. When we abide in Him, when His water flows in us, it's amazing. The world and the flesh it's a lie. It's like an illusion, like a computer game. He has prepared rest stops, enjoyments in the world. I'm not saying everything is going to be unfleshly, but the flesh pales in comparison to walking in His Spirit, to abiding in Him fully, and the peace that comes when you know you're right with Him and that there's nothing that you're holding back. Sin is bondage. There are things that we hold on to that are precious, that are precious to us, that we can't imagine letting go of. When He reminds us to let go, we'll say, no, that's not from Him, that's not from the Spirit, and run to doctrines that comfort us into holding on to the things of this world. We have become so accustomed to the taste of this bondage, we think it tastes good. It's comforting to us. We're used to it. I was like that before the fire. There were a few things I couldn't imagine giving up. And I felt continually prompted to. And I would just say, that's not real. That's so small. He wouldn't care about that. I mean, it's not written in the Bible. It's not necessarily sin. And I have freedom in Christ. I can do all I want. I'm not going to work for my salvation. I'm just going to, trust in His name. Trust that I believe in Him. I even confess that sometimes, since the fire baptism, I hold on to some small things. When we give him all, give him everything, we are freed from the bondage of sin and flesh. Then we can taste the wonderful flavoring of his freedom. That's the true freedom. The salt of his Spirit flavors our lives at that point. And what we thought would be a mundane existence without those things we held on to, those precious things, we find that the walk in his Spirit is more satisfying than we could have ever possibly imagined. The excitement of his love is overwhelming. I plead with everyone, give up your precious. You won't be sorry. But you can't know that until you truly give your life away fully. We cannot say to God, tell me what you're going to say to me, God, and then I'll listen fully and obey you. He doesn't speak to us this way. Say, Abba, I will cede everything to you. I want to know your truth. I want, no matter how hard it is, and I'll do whatever you want me to do. I only want to serve you. When you come to him like this, he will speak to you. You will hear from him. There is not much time left to learn this lesson. And frankly, even if there was, any time without this lesson is completely wasted time. God's truth is absolute. Yet day-to-day events are very much subjective and situational. There is a season for everything under the sun. A life and our walk is not a matter of do not taste and do not touch. That's not how to approach it. Abasing and denying ourselves merely for the practice of doing it is really not much more than a practice of masochism, if we're not led to do it by God. Bathing myself in oil or perfume would most likely be a walk in the flesh, or a work of the flesh, an indulgence that would not benefit me in spirit. Yet when the woman did it for Jesus, he interpreted by the Spirit that it was a good thing. He got what the message from the Father. And he enjoyed the moment properly interpreting the lesson of the situation. That's what we need to do, properly interpret the message of the situation and walk in being guided by him. Abide, seek Abba, and his will in all things. And it can be the same for us. Do it soon. Something wicked this way comes. And we will need to be bathed in his will and his spirits to keep our lamps full. God bless. Love you all in Jesus. Thank you.